Hello everyone, which way? I'm Rodney, and today, we will be having a yarn to Ken. How are you, Ken? They tell me, Australia has a really big plan to release.
Thanks, Rodney. Thanks for having a yarn to me about this really great plan they have. It is a really great plan about how the Indigenous Australians can have a voice to Parliament. Yes, this is a really great plan, even if I say so myself.
Ken, could you give me the quick rundown of this really great plan?
Well, where do I start? Remember, this has taken Australia a long time, so it is a really great plan. This model is to let the Indigenous Australians have a voice to Parliament. You know, there are nearly 800,000 Indigenous Australians in the 26.5 million Australians. The really great plan model is to have local and regional voices and an overarching national voice. This voice will provide advice to both the Australian Federal Parliament and Government. Australia has decided to make 35 regions across the country that will decide on the best process of selecting representatives, including the number of members in the local and regional bodies, and there will be a small national body. The body will form the national voice, a 24-member model that will be determined by the respective regional bodies, with 2 members from each state and territory, as well as the Torres Strait Islands.
Now, that is some plan, roughly 1 representative to every 30,000, that is not many to pay off, and there are approximately 250 Indigenous nations that have not yet ceded their sovereignty, so those representatives will speak for country that is not theirs.
And, let me add, the model sets out an obligation for the federal government and Parliament to consult the national voice on proposed laws that overwhelmingly relate to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people.
But Australia chose to legislate the Aboriginal Advisory Body, rather than enshrine it in the Australian Constitution.
Yes, to legislate it allows Australia the ability to terminate it if it no longer serves the needs of the Commonwealth of Australia. It is a bit of a pain if it is in the Constitution.
Was it not said, in January 2021, quote, "The federal government will be obliged to consult the Indigenous voice to Parliament when crafting laws on race, native title, and racial discrimination that impact upon Aboriginal Australians, but the body will have no power to overturn policy or prevent laws coming into force," unquote. This sounds very much like a toy telephone. So, as an Indigenous voice it will have no veto power. Its effectiveness will rely, in part, on the strength of its relationship with government and Parliament.
Well, yes, that sums it up, but it is a really great plan.
So, what is the good of it, if the Aboriginal peoples are not able to change the path of a law that affects them, and they will be subject to all the other laws of Australia and the states? The Indigenous Australians can say whatever they like, but it will make no difference when the Australian Crown has its mind made up.
Well, it keeps them away from their sovereignty, the sovereignty that coexists with it of the Australian Crown. What may seem like a blunt axe and gaudy beads is a really great plan for the Commonwealth of Australia, and those owners of the lands are seen legally through their Australian identity as Indigenous Australians. Now, that is a great deal for them.
Yes, great, but does it settle the past? Does it secure the future for Australia? Does it get the treaty that the Commonwealth of Australia needs? Has Australia looked at the treaty model that the Indigenous nation is proposing, one that settles the past and secures the future for the Commonwealth of Australia? For that treaty model is the way.
Yes, Australia has, but Australia would have to act in good faith and consult and cooperate with them, so that the treaty is not jeopardized. I don't think they would like that, but this plan they offered is still a really great plan.